So Kingdom Come Deliverance actually came out of nowhere. I saw some of the trailers and I was really, really hyped for it because I was thinking, oh, this looks like kind of like a Witcher game, but more set in kind of reality. Like, you know, it's very much heavy swordplay combat, maybe less magic and stuff. And then I jumped into the combat and I was slightly kind of disillusioned because it's basically Skyrim. That said, disclaimer, I didn't really like Skyrim, but I brought on Jason.
So, okay, I played 130 hours of Skyrim, hated it, right? I still say it to this day. Skyrim's the worst Elder Scrolls game, still played 130 hours of it, right? So there's something to be said for I'm just going to muck around, do that kind of shit. And I think it's fine, you know what I mean? The reason I was interested in Kingdom Come was the exact same thing you said. It's no magic. There's a couple of spells which kind of blur the lines.
Yeah, there's like potions and stuff.
Yeah,
that kind of blur lines,
but that's alchemy. That's different.
All right.
But it's set in like feudal kind of Hungary. Like it's this interesting actual microcosm of that period in time. Like 14th century, is it, or something like that?
It's the what? It's the not
just
Kingdom.
Before the plague, isn't it?
Yeah, basically, I think just before the plague. You basically, I can't remember the king's name, but there was a king that died. His son becomes the new king, and he's not that good of a king. His cousin then comes in thinking, I am going to save the country by basically trying to kill off the prince. So yeah, it's that said. That is one of the major draw points of this game, is the story, and it's done very, very well in comparison to Skyrim, because I hated Skyrim.
And that is the main thing that I would say differs with Skyrim. Even its side quests are frivolous, and it knows it, and it's okay with that, because there might be these cool character moments, and that's what side quests are for. Interesting little quirky character moments. Games like New Vegas understood that, and that was why that did really well. Skyrim's biggest problem was that its main thing, I had to either choose between the Imperials, who I hate, or Ulfric Stormcloak, who I hate. At least in this, while you're forced down playing the same character, or playing a character, you have a story, you have a backstory, you meet your parents, you have a life. You know, like even if you're taking him down a route of crime or a route of chastity, that's up to you. That's not my business. You are playing a person who exists in a world, and I think that's what works for it.
That always has been a good point for me. I always hated that choose your own character sometimes, because there just is no character previous to that point. There's a few elements there, a few games that have done really well previously, like even like Knights of the Old Republic, where you actually had character before your character, and Amnesia. So that.
But so it was tropey, but it worked because they'd established you in the universe.
And this game does really, really well with its story, because you have character, and your character is actually really, really interesting to play as, and the world around is also interesting to explore and interesting in just to like change, because there are a few ways that you can actually change the story and so on.
So the biggest complaints would be the combat and the way it handles. Perhaps it isn't as good as it could have been, but you got to remember the size of the studio and the size of that. So there is some leeway to be given there, to be fair. Yeah, it's not like it's Bethesda money.
It's true. There's a few elements that I think even do better than Skyrim. It's like the weapon, the sword fighting and stuff, and even the dueling stuff. It's slower than Skyrim and maybe a little bit more painful that way, but there's a few elements.
But that's more realistic.
Yeah, they've added more like realism and like almost guarding and stuff, which kind of slightly is overpowered, but I guess it's fine. And also stabbing is
Stabbing is a bit broken,
yeah. Stabbing is like no one slashes, everyone just stabs. But other than that, there are other few elements that are kind of really slightly bugged me, and well, bugged is the right term.
Yeah.
Because cameras just don't sometimes work. There's times when you're just like, having a conversation with an NPC, the camera points in a totally different opposite direction. Like, I'm supposed to be looking that direction, but I'm looking at this dog walking along the road.
Yeah, it's like the Galia of cameras,
basically.
And so, but again, like I say, out of a Bethesda game with all that money, you don't expect it. Out of this with a smaller studio, there is a certain level of forgiveness to be given. It still seems like it's worth playing if you're into that heavy story-driven experience.
That, and I am really excited for the mods for this game, because Skyrim, it's very much a Skyrim kind of base game, and hopefully that draws a lot of the people that create modded for Skyrim to this kind of game, and hopefully there is good mod support too on PC, fingers crossed in all those three, because that'll make the game 10 times better like it did on Skyrim.